All right, so our homework's done, right, for South by. It's done. What is our homework? It's so easy. It's it. We're done. That's it. We're done. Like, it literally, the rest of it literally does itself. Like, it's so easy. It is so easy. Okay, so that's true, and that's basic. And Alex, she said, Alexandra. Oh, that's her new name. It's no longer, yeah. Yup. She had texted me lyrics. Do you remember when she said in the Uber, oh, I'm going to text you lyrics for this song? That's rolled up into Rabbit. Because I can take those lyrics and turn them not just into one song, I can turn them into 3 songs. Because what you don't know of what I failed with last year is I wanted to shove 2 songs into the Dungeons and Dragons trailer because the trailer was broken. And so we were going to shove in 2 songs the way that Ryan Tedder did on MySpace. I'm not even making this shit up because it's just real, and this is what he did for money. This is what we're doing for giggles, which is what this explosion is right at this moment. Okay. This is it. And it's so easy, and anybody can do it, and this is exactly for you. Because this turns around our evening. Because our evening was great. Because the Weaver thing was good, Proper was good. I mean, we had, what'd you say? Yeah, we had a good time. This is how to make that time legendary. And we'll do this every night because it's so easy. This is even easier than the Rabbit. Okay. It is this problem. Going to get drinks. Going to get drinks. It's not the problem. It's just what happens at every point in the evening is going to get drinks. And this is how you benefit. When you go to get drinks, and we've talked about this before, but this is laid out perfectly, actually on a LinkedIn post that I already executed, because I'm into 4 positive things for the future. At the moment in time where you're going up to get drinks, you're like, hey, Larry, and you know what I'm going to order, but nobody else does. Right? Whatever you want. Now, what are you doing? You're doing 19 positive things by doing that. But this is how I'm laying it out, which is why I'm recording this as a video, so that way you can watch this video and write down, this is page 4, page 5, page 6, page 7, page 8, page 9. Because all of these correlate directly to your lectures. Lecture 4 is page 4. And do you see how you're only going to have to memorize everything one time, but now you're memorizing everything everywhere. Which is why I'm actually not smart, dude. Like, remember yesterday where I was like kind of feeling like, oh, I'm a fucking genius because I have great results. But then when I was walking my dog, I was like, you know what? I need to tell Clyde that, like, I'm not a 488 IQ person. I'm just reading ahead in the book. This is reading ahead at the party while writing a book in your book, which is page 4 through what page? 9. So this is page 1, page 2, page 3. We have that. And then this is page 4. And it's exactly at the easiest thing ever, which is drinks. Hey, Larry, I'm going to the bar. Anything you want, buddy. You're saying this loud enough so that way other people can hear. Hey, Larry, go to the bar. Anything you want, buddy. It's on me. You know what I'm going to order, okay? At worst, I'm going to order what I order. So that, exactly. And at open bar, it's even more funny. Because now, you say it loud enough to overhear. What are you hoping for? You're hoping for either mooches, women, or vagina, dudes who are pussies, that say, hey, 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 what about me? Because people do it all the time. Hey, I'm Larry's friend, what about me? That is your point in time where you sat quietly. Now it's time to collect. Do you see the genius in this? Because now you can hard close. Because if you think collecting drinks is easy, okay, collecting money for drinks is actually hard. Collecting $30,000 is actually easy as fuck. Because you're collecting 30 for $0. Like, that's how money works. Is you gotta ask for it because, hey, you don't want to pay me 30, I'm increasing your batting average. Or with yesterday's like diatribe of swimming in women's brains, which actually also affected me, I had to listen to those two for over an hour. And let's say I came up with a problem for them to be solved that was 100 grand. You're not going to pay me 30 grand for that $100,000 problem, because yesterday's problem was, and then she said it, Katie said it later. Did you hear what she said? It was money. No, close. Because she said, I would pay you $50,000 if you found me a husband. She did say that super quiet. What? Yeah? But we're doing it on drinks. But we're doing it on drinks. We're not actually going to collect on that. I mean, we might. But this is... Wait, what? But it's still a real thing, because that's why they're listening to the Vagina Whisperer yesterday. And so, in that situation now, the practice of this phone call and future South by drink extraction is to get you comfortable with collecting $60, because you don't have any practice in squeezing people for 30 to $80. Whereas I F around all the time, but be like, hey, give me $20. You can see me, and the reason I collect money like that so aggressively, enthusiastically, is because I don't care. I just want to see money come out of your pocket, which is why we had the conversation of, I will never ask you for money. So that way you won't be like, hey, are you going to ask me for, like, you know, money in the future because this is so fucking awesome? Like, I literally need to, like, set aside and just openly declare, look, like, this shit's amazing. I'm not going to ask you for money. But do you see how important it is for us, or specifically you, in giving away a free book? Because giving away a free book, like, I'm not just going to throw a book in a trash can in your apartment, which is what we did with Catherine. That book, that Huna book, is lost. And so at the point of drinks, they'll be like, hey, what about me? And now you have 7 things that you're loaded up to say. 1, if you're, and this is why we're recording this. 1, like, if you plus one'd me onto being co-founder, like, then you could get free drinks from me too. MySpaces. It's amazing, right? Because now you're selling them on me while you're selling them on you. We're like, hey, you know, until until you double me the way that Larry Chang did. You'll I'll buy you drinks then too. Be like, hey, wait a minute. I've been sitting here quietly for the last 20 minutes as I'm the one taking notes for you, and now you want me to fly and buy? No, 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 buddy. Give me your credit card. And you see how now, and then you just silently stick out your hand and be like, give me your credit card. You've been sitting next to the Vagina Whisperer for like 20 minutes. You're buying drinks. Come on. What do you want? Give me your credit card. What do you want? And then they'll be like, I want a whiskey sour here. Don't go crazy on it. And then they'll hand you the credit card and you'll be like, oh my God. Because this is actually how we did Asinine. Is we weren't going to spend our own money. We were just going to ask other VCs, be like, hey, you want in on this? You're at least paying for the hotel. And they'll be like, yeah, no problem. And then the hotel bill ends up being like $400. And you're like, I thought you were going to charge $4,000. Like, I thought it was going to be $50,000. Like, it's just $400. And that's the power of asking for an open check or carte blanche. Carte blanche is the name of a credit card company. Carte blanche is spend as much as you want. Carte blanche is give me your credit card. Give me your credit card. Carte blanche. That's 5. 5 is carte blanche. Because carte blanche is, one meaning is you're buying drinks. Carte blanche. Carte blanche is a credit card company like Diners Club. They actually merged. It's also like Discover, which was bought by Capital One. Carte blanche is also how we're going to fund Asinine. Hey, if we're dragging 20 hot women to Miami, you don't get to just come. You're paying for at least the hotel. Right? And then that's carte blanche. Because that's literally the definition of carte blanche. And it'll be easy for us to remember because we have carte blanche for an external API into Mark McCormack. So that's mentorship, is carte blanche. So your mentor actually doesn't even need to approve you as a mentee. You have carte blanche if you read the book. Carte blanche. Carte blanche is 5. And so, hey, you know, my mentor or Larry or Mr. Chiang or Vagina Whisperer over here, he gave me carte blanche to do to code Web 4. So like until you give me something as golden as Web 4, like you should be buying. In fact, I've been sitting here for like an hour listening to your vaginas like try to get filled. You don't have to quite talk like Larry Chang. But like I've been listening for an hour about your relationship shit and like you should be paying. Give me your credit card. You're treating. Hand over the credit card. And then now you're closing on nothing but everything because it's at the moment in time where you're magnanimously going to the bar. You should be going to the bar even when you're not thirsty by heat checking. This is like a heat check in basketball. This is a heat check. Like, I can't fucking miss, so I'm going to be 4 feet behind the 3-point line and just jack up my jumper. Like, oh, it's all going in. So you just stand up and be like, hey, I'm going to the bar. Vagina Whisperer, what do you want? Or, hey, co-founder of MySpaces, what do you want? Or turnaround VC extraordinaire, what do you want to drink? It's on me. And then wait for some sheep to come in. Wait for some sheep. Is this amazing? Because everybody mooches. And then you're just setting them up for once they mooch, be like, hey, sell me. You've been listening to greatness, like kind of like combative, slightly argumentative, not just picking up the money. So I'm going to go get drinks. You're going to sit here and pick up more money with Larry Chang will I miss out on some snippet of genius? Like, if I'm flying, you're buying. It's perfect. It's so like this turns around our evening because that attendance on Rainy Street was subpar. And I should have still worked because you're right. Like there was enough there to work, but I'm used to like just it being a flood of the JJ, and I kind of was just like, man, there's only 3 pockets, whereas normally there's like 9 pockets. I pop like 2 selfies with like the hottest bachelorettes, and then every other bachelorette party is like, oh, no, that's just look at my Instagram. Like it is 19 pictures within like 6 minutes, and everyone's like, what the F? And then some girl will always be like, hey, how about getting drinks? And then I hit him with that, and then I'm like, oh my God, this is what Clyde should do. This is what Clyde should do because I have countermeasures for when people ask for alcohol. Because we also talked about it yesterday at Proper, which is, are you just into never buying drinks? Like, I'm into the opposite, which is I'm into standing next to the bar saying, I'm thirsty, and having a girl go, I'll get you a beer. And then I always drink whatever she's drinking, so that way I can round trip her drink back to her. The other situation, which is the same situation of, hey, I'm going to the bar, do you want anything? Is if people aren't mooching, you encourage them to mooch. Now, this is a situation that's also going to be counterintuitive, but also like a thing. So I'll say to a rich dude, be like, hey, I just solved $1 million problem. Give me $500. And guess what rich dudes do? Who are goats. Remember, I'm the goat whisperer. Now what happens? This is a goat. Well, no, they already know that I'm going to because I listen and I'm taking notes, and I'm just at a tidal wave crescendo and orgasm of evidence that I will execute. I already did the text group chat. I already put pen to paper, so they're like, this guy's a whale. Like this guy's I want to fuck with this guy, or I want to network with this guy, and then I'll be like, hey, give me $500. Or give me $100, or give me money, give me your credit card for drinks. Now, counterintuitively, how can you get fucked? Because I'm giving you the playbook for all the positive shit in the future. So let's say it's a brand name person, okay? Like, because this is not the first time I've worked with a goat before. Now, what does a true goat do when you're like, give me your credit card? He actually gives you his credit card. Or you ask for $100 and he slaps 10 grand in your pocket and he shoves it in your pocket, and then he's kind of like, I own you now. And then now you got to hot potato that money back. So this whole collection of money thing, you got to get ready for this. Because if the whale goes, hey, fuck yeah, drinks are on me, now you have to say, oh, I was just joking, I'll get you whatever you want. This is why it's critical. When you ask a billionaire for like $100, because you're like, hey, give me $100. Like, I just did this for you. Give me $100. They'll give you $500, $1,000, or 10 grand ripped. But definitely $100. What you now do with that $100 is actually incredibly detailed. Because you can't willy-nilly be sheep. Because you are testing him. Now what's going to happen? Because this is a test. Exactly. Because this is a test, and you're going to win this test every time. Because these are all the conditions of the test. When you test them, they're like, "Oh fuck, you're right. You know, I should test you, or you should test me, or now I'm gonna test you." The biggest problem when you tell a woman, "Hey, buy me drinks," is, "Oh, you're fucking incredibly hot. I'm definitely buying you drinks, and later I'm gonna fuck you." And then you're like, "Oh fuck, now I'm fucked because I got everything I asked for." It's the whole "be careful what you ask for, you might get it." Now you have to backpedal, not backpedal, but now, and I'll, if you end up buying drinks, I'll Venmo you the money immediately, because this is also how I get 22-year-old women that I'm with to offer drinks to rich people that I'm with, because everyone thinks that I'm the sugar daddy. And do you see how when I do this with a 23-year-old woman, she seems like she's going to be successful because she reads my Twitter. And now everyone's impressed because she checks the box of she's hot, but she's also got a school smart and street smart side to her. And this is why this drinks thing for you is so beneficial, because you're literally you're interrogating people with money. This is Bitcoin. This is money. Is you are now interrogating people for money by asking people for money. And when you ask people for money that should be paying money, they'll literally be throwing money at you. And then now you've got another test. Which is, you test them, now they're going to test you because they want to know who Clyde and Larry are. Which is, in a certain moment in time, like with a celeb person that you're squeezing them for money, be like, I'm good, I'll get you drinks. Because they'll just be like, and then they'll be like, "Oh, fuck you." And then now you're fighting for the bill, legit fighting. Because you tested them and now they're going to win the test, but you've got to say, no, I insist twice before they're like, "Fuck you, you tested me, I'm going to pass this test." And then you're like, okay. And then that's carte blanche. That's what page? No, that's page 5. The only page that matters of 4 through 9 is page 5. Because it's mentor and it's free. It's not free money, but they just transferred money to us because you are loyal to a mentor. That's carte blanche. Because they're literally handing you a credit card to say, yeah, charge. They don't know if you're going to order like a McKellen like 212. Get it? It's the 18, 36, 72, 212. And so that's carte blanche. And so your money extraction can go very wrong when they're like, "Yeah, buddy, here you go. Here's my money." And if they give you paper money, you actually have to, this is critical too, because they end up giving you like $600 or something weird. You actually have to keep the bills and photocopy them. We're not just going to hand people currency willy-nilly. We photocopy every like fives. Photocopying fives is a cunt move. It's genius and funny the way I do it. The way I photographed Sam Altman's $50. Like, that's kind of a cunt move. The picture I sent you, the picture I sent, that's like $50 with serial numbers. Photocopy the hundreds for sure, because you can't just take 10 grand without photocopying every dollar, which is why we need to confirm that the dollars are KYC AML, which is why you can see that I've actually collected a lot of money, right? KYC is anti-money laundering laws. Like, we're not just going to take 20 grand. Like we need to photocopy every bill and then confirm with the payer, hey, this money's going to hit the grid. Are you okay with it? We're not just going to be like, oh, cool. And then spray the club. No. We take that $600 and we put it on our credit card and we put the paper money into a photocopier and we write down the serial numbers for it. We don't just spend $600 that somebody gives us. Like, we don't do that. That's for the 5% of the time where we're winning so big that we get heady and disoriented. But you won't get heady and disoriented because this is the preparation for it. This is the preparation for it. Whereas the other times it'll just be dudes who are kind of hesitant in giving money or like stressed about giving money or just normal situations when you're dealing with a normal person extracting money. And that's the practice of asking for money after you solve a problem. Because you're currently solving a problem because they're thirsty and they get to sit next to greatness while getting more problems solved. And then you have to leave the circle of greatness, and then like, why are you having to pay and leave? So if you're flying, you shouldn't have to buy. And that's where money collection in its complex iterations allows you to sell 4 through 9. Because 4 through 9 are all saleable things. 4 through 9, pages 4 through 9 are all things that you can sell and extract money on. And it solves a problem, which is people are thirsty at a party. Okay, here's another thing. It's open bar and you're going to get drinks. We're not going to get drinks for women at open bar. I mean, we are, but how do you extract money at open bar from women who are like hanging out with us? Like last night, how do we extract money? I can do it. Exactly. But how do we get short-term cash money in an open bar situation? Because a lot of South by parties, and a lot of parties are open bar. And so how do you charge people money? Just not women, but mostly women. Women and dudes. Hey, I'm going to go fly. Larry, do you want anything? Anything you want. It's open bar. And then other people will be like, hey, yeah, get me something too. Now what do? It's open bar. So you can't just be like, oh yeah, it's close to that. You're laughing, but it's actually close to that. It's close to that. And this is genius. Because this is actually a very common problem, is it's open bar. I'm going to go fly, like, yeah. And I still need to get you to, okay, if I go to a party and my rich buddy is open bar-ing a 5-day weekend, I am actually spending money because it's my friend. That's the accounting principle of a remnant relic old thing, which is the $50 rule. 5 dates, $50. Like, you can't just bring the girl to open bar and be like, oh, I'm under $50 because, yeah, I'm like, what party did you go to? Oh, it's the venture firm GPLP party, and so it was open bar. I'm like, you paid for that because that's coming out of your management fee. Like, that's not $0. That's open bar because you're friends with the owner of the Celtics, Irv Grosbeck. Like, you didn't go to a Celtics game for free, okay? You guest lecturing at Stanford paid for that. So you paid for your free tickets to a game. So like that has a cost. It's not $0. It's actually more. So how do you pay for free drinks? And how do you get them to pay for free drinks? Not a credit card. You say, No, you say, hey, I don't have any small bills on me. Do you have a 20, a 10, or a 5 for me to tip? And then you hold out your hand. You hold out your hand like, I don't have small bills and I'm gonna have to like tip if I'm coming back with 5 drinks. Yeah. So I'm like, who? Yeah. Or no bills. Or no bills. It doesn't matter. Like, you're fucking tipping. Or you're fucking tipping and you can't tip on a credit card. You can't tip on a credit card on a $0 charge. So you're like, hey, who of you over there has like small bills? And I can't tell you how many times like well prepared women will be like, oh, I got fives. How many do you need? Or I got, and then some women will just pull out a 20 and be like, is this enough for a tip? I'm like, yeah, that's plenty. Is that not hilarious? And then once, oh, actually, we do. Actually, we do keep the money because any paper money we get, we kind of need a photocopy because you're like, oh, I walked up to the bar and it turns out I did have fives. Oh, you need to get like $300 in $5 bills. Like you got to actually now go to the bank and order it because you're going to see how 8 of those $5 bills is going to do more work than like an entire team of MBAs. Because before, it was like Mark McCormack, Weston St. Francis. I had to bring like $800 in $5 bills. Now, like a single digit number of $5 bills gets us treated it proper the way that I get treated it proper because I tip. That's why you hear Mr. Chiang, Mr. Chiang, Mr. Chiang. You thought it was just good service where I tipped for it. I've tipped not enough for the great service there. And so you're going to do $300 in fives because you're going to be selling $25 bills for like $200 because lazy people can't go to the bank. And then I'm not even joking right now. The bank is sold out on $5 bills. Like they're like, oh, don't have any. Which is why stockpiling $500 bills before South by is hilarious. I can't tell you how much money I made in Vegas by tipping $5 bills just last week. Yeah. And so when it's open bar, to finish that point, when it's open bar, we ask for tip money to close on money. Be like, I don't have any small bills. How about you guys? Like, if I'm flying, you're tipping. Like, it works every time. If I'm flying, you're tipping. Like, who's got small bills on them? And then just wait. And then just wait. If I'm flying, you're tipping. And then if they're like, you don't need to tip, I'm like, look, we're not hanging out with people who violate page 8. and then rich people will be like, fuck you, page 8. And page 8 is karma, tipping. Yeah. And then so people will call you out. And they'll be like, no way is that page 8. Or no way do you know that that's also lecture 8. You could set them up either way. Oh yeah, I think, Larry, is that lecture 8 of our GWU reboot of entrepreneurship at my college? I think that is lecture 8. And people will be like, fuck you. Fuck me? What are you talking about? I'll bet you $500 that you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And then rich people, they actually happily pay your bet. Like, they'll bet you money just to give you money. They'll be like, oh, like stupid rich people be like, oh, if you go make out with that hot girl or that fat girl, I'll pay you $1,000. But then also cool rich people would be like, I'll bet you, Driscoll Four Seasons Driscoll. I'll bet you $2,000 that you can't put drinks on your own tab because one, I've never seen you buy drinks, and two, you're not even staying at the Four Seasons. I saw your hotel room at the Driscoll. And then I'm like, it's not the things that we know that hurt us. It's not even the things that we don't know that hurt us. It's the things that we know to be true that are simply not true that make us go bankrupt. And they're like, did you just quote Buffett? I'm like, I'm surprised you even know that. And then that's the inside. Okay, cool. Let's bet $2,000 that you can't put $60 of drinks on the Four Seasons. I'm like, not only will I do that, I'll happily take your $2,000 and then I'll show you that I won't even charge it to my buddy's room. I'm going to put it on the Larry Chiang room at the Four Seasons. You do that, I got $2,000 right now in my pocket. Okay. Like, I'm going to do it right now. And then I do it for like, $80 on the drinks. And then they're like, no way. And then they'll just throw the money because they're just like happily. I'm like, you know what? When I bet you, I had more information than you. So I actually insist that you keep that money. Because I didn't cheat you with that money. But I knew that I was going to win. So you keep your $2,000. And then guess what they do? They have to put it in your pocket. Because people are witnessing an active welch, like an active bet retraction. Like they can't do that. But then you're showing them, this is what I do. I book a Driscoll room, giant suite, and a Four Seasons room as like emergency fuck bed. And then people are like, what? Fucking genius. Like, you never have like a side piece to your prime piece. It's a hotel room. Like, you don't have friends coming in saying, I want to crash in your hotel room. Yeah, well, I'm a dude, okay? I don't need another dude sleeping on my floor, okay? Or on my fucking sofa, or even in the adjoining fucking room, okay? Enjoy the loser's bracket over at the Four Seasons. That's extracting money in small ways because it's entertaining as fuck. Is it not? It's pretty fun. And it's at the exact moment in time where I don't want to buy you alcohol. And if I'm going to have to go get you alcohol, you're buying your own alcohol because I'm leaving to go get alcohol. And if it's free at the alcohol distribution area called the bar, like, I'm not going to just leave with 5 drinks and not tip. You're going to tip, so hand over some money. And then laying on the fact that we're ambushing them with 5 and 8, like, we're winning. And then, do you see how after this, we can just be like, look, let's do something great while South by is going. I'm not just going to wait for like March 14 to come around and then you and I do a cold restart. No, like, you're fucking meeting us at fucking 7 a.m. at the Four Seasons, okay? You're buying, and then, like, let's do this now. And then you show up with a notepad and pen, and then they're just like, oh, I'll just do whatever these guys are doing. And then that's why sometimes you gotta show up like half an hour early. Because they're like, no, I don't want to do the Four Seasons. I want to do the fucking La Quinta breakfast, like, in the shithole. And you're like, oh, fuck. Like, is this a test to see if I can even get into the Sheraton 11th floor for their shithole breakfast? Because that's what that test is they don't know what the fuck you're talking about with a rabbit or, like, MySpaces. And they're just like, I have no idea what you're talking about. But if you can get into the shithole of 5th floor JW, it's actually not a shithole, but like, I'm gonna give you a place that's hard to get into. And is it really hard to get into? No. It's just you got to get there 30 minutes early. Cuz it's some random, like the Four Seasons breakfast is actually hard for people to find because it's downstairs in the basement. And so, like, it's not hard to find. Or the Fairmont breakfast. Like, it's, like, a lot of people have a really hard time getting somewhere on time. They don't, and then the worst thing that we will never obviously do is, hey, where do we park for the La Quinta the shitty breakfast? Like, if you can't figure out how to park, how are you gonna solve my simple ass problem? You can't even solve your own parking problem. Drinks, we're thirsty. I'm going to the bar. Larry, do you want something? What? Is Larry your daddy? You know what? You sound like you have some LGBT issues that you're currently working through. Me, okay? I'm just thankful. I want to say that's our lecture 8. Do you see how powerful, like, you can turn around any insult, and then that's what you're waiting for. Is like, oh, is he your boy? You sounds like you have some LGBT issues. And you see how now you have immediate countermeasures with an extraction for money. Because as soon as women insult you or laugh at you, or dudes insult you, you can go right to guns, which is, oh, you sound like you have some unresolved issues of your own. Me, I'm just thankful. Oh my God, thankfulness. Oh, that's lecture 8 of our entrepreneurship recap, restructure. And do you see how now people are like, holy fuck, is it really 8? What the fuck's going on right now? In the same way that you had no idea what the fuck was going on when we went to proper. Like, what the fuck is going on here? Like, well, I'm gonna need some time. And you're literally hitting them with, hey, what, is he your mentor? Like, is Larry your mentor and you just buy everything? Because Larry doesn't pay for shit. Me? I'm glad. I'm just thankful. How about you? Are you ever thankful? In fact, you should channel some of your thankfulness into me flying for your beer. What am I buying you your beer for? I have to leave this circle. Money. Come on, bitch. And then they'll be like, okay. Because you saw the bombs I was dropping yesterday where you're like, you did not just say that. And then they just laughed. Like, the deeper we went, the more fun they had. Where I had to break up that rock pile. Like, they're screaming, I'm gonna fuck that guy. Like, they're screaming that. And I'm like, ooh, we need to break up this rock pile. They're just like, oh, we don't care. Remember that? Like, we don't care. Who are these people? Like, they're kind of important people. So, like, for me to want to break up our magical rock pile is because you can say that to them. You, Clyde, can say that to them when you're extracting money that benefits them. Like, that money doesn't benefit you. You're fucking ordering fucking water. And that's why when you come back with water, that's even more potent. Because you're like, yeah, I was going to get water. What the fuck do you think I was going to go get? And you see how now that's even more. That's actually either page 2 or 8 or 5. Hey, I had carte blanche to go get anything. I got water. Oh, open bar at this party? Great. I'm going to order water. And you see how now it's even more so. Because you squeezed them on a $200 round of drinks when it's just their fucking alcohol. Like, what'd you think I was going to get? Like, just because it's free doesn't mean I'm going to change my drink order habits. And then maybe bottles of water that they comp. Because a lot of really nice places, they comp the bottles of water. Or if it's open bar, you're just doing bottled water anyway. Or whatever. And do you see how now you just are set up to win in every scenario with good treatment and surprisingly great treatment. When they're like, oh yeah, I'll just, like, in fact, the rest of the weekend, like, this shit's on me, like, and then they'll even be like, I don't know if you're like double booked for the rest of your South by, but like I would pay just to like coattail you guys, because that's what should be happening is we get coattailed. So we actually got to remove people off of our coattails by disappearing on people at certain moments in time. Where I go, we got to disappear. We literally go upstairs, around the corner, or we disappear. In the same way that Gerald, he's an operator. That dude disappeared. Right? He knows what he's doing. He knew what he was doing. And that's why they had no idea what the read was. Because he seemed like he was kind of simping, but he was like actually perma player. Because he was too much of a pro. Like he had no qualms sitting next to me and like asking me questions and being semi-charming. Right? Like he wasn't like, hey, what are you doing with another guy? I treated you yesterday. And so, do you see how like we're going to get coattails because we're going to be the belles of the party because we've got a cheat code for South by. We got a cheat code for South by, which is one, we have a joke business. Two, we can actually execute our joke business on the fly, and like it's so easy. And then bringing a notebook. You know what? I was gonna have you do these notebooks, the paper notebook. I was gonna have you do like these, but your notebook's actually perfect the way that your notebook is already. But then what you do is you buy these for $8, and then you're fucking welcome. Say thank you. Yeah, because you're gonna buy $8 in notebooks or $16 in notebooks, and you're gonna sell each notebook for how much money? Nope, $50. A dollar amount between $48. That'll be page 6. Is yep. $48 to $68. And what you said is actually correct, 0. But initially you charge $48 to $68. If they write down 2 things and make money on it and feature you on social media, because remember, you don't have social media. Why do I need social media when I'm going to be the most significant thing in your social media? You're fucking welcome. That's what you're saying from now on. Like, why do I need my own social media? Like, I'm the star of your social media. This is how. I'm going to sell you a notebook for $49. You're going to do 2 things in that notebook. I'm going to sell you this notebook right now. Here, give me $50. And you see how now people are like, like, are you telling me that this experience hasn't been worth $50? Okay. It has. And now do you see why you sell the $50 notebook? Because you're like, if you didn't hear $50,000 in value, because I was here the whole time that Larry never stopped talking. And that's sort of funny. Because you're slamming me. I heard at least $300. And I wrote it down. Show me your notes. These are my notes for you. Do I care more about your money than you do? And which is actually true. If you're the one who wrote down shit to put it in 1 through 14 category. And do you see how important the 1 through 14 categories are? Because all of your mistakes, that's why I seem like a genius in a board meeting, is because they only read Mark McCormack's book 1 time. Basically, it's always sell more, which is chapter 6. Which is what you're doing, is you're selling. And you're collecting money after the sale. You're not just like, oh, we got a partnership agreement, I could make millions. The true dollar amount is zero. And so this is where you're like, look, I've been writing down more stuff about your money than your own thing. Oh, I got it all up here. Like, yeah, sure you do, buddy. You don't. And then you're like, do you want to buy this notebook? Like, I saw you Googling Larry's notebook, because you won't have this notebook. You'll have your notebook. But like, look, $49. And then they're like, oh, I'll think about it. And then that's perfect, because you're like, look, where did you go to college? And they'll be like, why do you ask? Because they always went to like Harvard or Stanford. I'm like, did you get a full ride for academic scholarship? Because right now you're acting like a little cunt who got to go to the party for free and now are complaining that there's not enough cocktail waitresses giving you more free shit. Like, you sound like you're thankless. Do you see how, like, you don't quite have to say all that, but any you get it, which is like, look, you sound like you're constipated money wise, which is why after you left Stanford, like, your results have been average. You're like, you're not thankful, you don't write shit down, and you're kind of not very detail minded. So give me $50, write down 2 things, and if you don't make $5,000 with your notebook, or you do make $5,000, either way, I'll give you your $48 back. And do you see how now they can't say no? Like, you're literally forcing them to buy a $50 notebook from you that you paid $1.40 for. No, it's the ones that I take notes in that look like a little kid notebook, and then everybody remembers, hey, Larry, do you have your little kid notebook? Remember how much shit I got yesterday? And I'm like, this one, and I pulled it right out of my ass. And then she came a little bit. Did you feel that when I pulled it out? She came a little bit. It was interesting to watch, right? And that's the power of that. And then, do you see how it costs you less than $2, and if let's say you don't sell 10 of them at South by, let's say you only sell 4. Like, that's kind of a lot of money. $200 on 16. That's $200 on 16 if you sell 4. And this is the only time. Oh, you're fucking welcome. Say thank you. You're welcome. This is even better. You don't buy it on 16. You're air quotes squatting it from me. So you're literally doing what chapter 9 is, page 9, which is you're selling it first and then buying it. So I'm going to sell it to you for the dick price of $2.30 per notebook, because you got to pay a premium. But do you care about a 50-cent premium if you don't have to inventory something? You do not. And do you see how now you're telling people, because they're going to be like, hey, what'd you do? Just buy a couple packs of this shit? And then you go, what? Am I a cunt? I didn't buy 2 packs. I sell it first and then buy it. That's pinnacle. That's page 9, is you actually sell something first and then buy it. So I will inventory your notebooks for you. So that way you don't make the mistake of, I bought 2 packs of notebooks. And then you have to pay a premium of 50 cents per notebook. And then, do you see why we're always honest with all this shit? Because people are going to be like, what? No way, you bought them. Like, no. They're $1.60. Larry's charging me $2.10. And I'm selling it to you for $66. So you're going to tweet 2 positive things about your notebook, and then for each positive thing, you'll get $33 back. So that way you don't have to buy two sets of notebooks. And then people might accuse us of, oh, is this a multi-level marketing scheme? It's super close. It sounds like you and your parents and your grandfather got burned by joining an MLM, okay? This is our MLM. It's zero levels of levels. So like you could buy your own notebook and sell the notebook for $50, give or take 10. And then you could do exactly what we're doing. So it's like multi-level marketing, but it's zero level multi-level marketing. It's decentralized. Oh, I just explained to you how Web3 works. Do you see how like every objection, like you can just like have a countermeasure to? Or if you don't have the countermeasure to it, be like, hey, Larry, he's got a question or an objection or a criticism. He says that you're an MLM. He says that this feels like MLM to him. Oh, what's your name? Oh, my name's Kendrick the Fifth. Cool. Tell me, did Kendrick the Third get burned on an MLM scheme? And then did Kendrick the Fourth also get burned on the same multi-level marketing scheme? And then that's funny because I was listening. And then the answer is it's zero level marketing because you can just buy this notebook on Amazon for $1.60 for an 8-pack, and then you sell it. And then the problem that we're solving is the fact that smartphones wreck your brain, whereas a notebook is how your brain is wired. Well, like what Katie was talking about yesterday, because that's why she came a little bit. Do you remember when she explained to Alex why pen to paper works? They talked for like 6 minutes. Yeah, exactly that. They talked for it for a while. Because that's why she came a little bit when I pulled out my notebook. Is she goes, I know I should do this, but I don't have the confidence to do it. And she knows that the brain is wired for pen to paper working really well. Exactly that. About how the brain fires when it's pen to paper. That's exactly what she was talking about. That's exactly what she was talking about. Because I felt it. That was the other real thing that she said all night. Is that not funny? That's not pretzel brain. That was flow. That was her citing something that was genius. That was her recognizing smart stuff that is great. Like that was significant. The way she talks. The way she talks. It's pretzel brain. Yeah, it's her vagina chemical. Like, I don't mean to be crude, but this is what it really is. It's her vagina betrays her. She's getting currently betrayed. Yeah. It's like talking to a dude whose little head is running the show. But like guys have been mentored by other guys. Hey, You're thinking with your little head. Whereas when women think with their other brain, they're they're basically their fifth chakra, which is why Joe Dispenza's shit works great. Which is they were thinking with the area below their gut, and that's a problem. Yeah, yeah, and she knows what, and she's pliable to her 27-year-old friend mentoring her. She's pliable with the whole like turnabout. And you know how that turnabout started? It was when I'm like, hey, if you want flowers, prime the pump with getting them a carnation. Like, and then she's like, oh, because that's the gap of of modern feminism is lack of thankfulness and refusing to cook even cheese. Like heating up cheese is the easiest thing to do. You find carb and you surround the cheese and then you heat the cheese. Like they just had such a reaction to I won't even blah blah blah. They had some snippet like, oh, I'm not gonna be girlfriend blah blah blah, and I'm like, that's that's the competitive advantage. That's the competitive advantage. Getting those two to cook for us would be hilarious. Yeah, we really could. I thought it was funny that they both exploded with the best parties that they had. like, like, what? I know why. But why do you think that it was funny? Oh no. You're witnessing that I become an intern because I'm listening so well. But but so what? There's five things going on there. One is being smarter and dumber than a person simultaneously. So I'm literally flanking you. If I were an army, I'm flanking you in front of you, whereas I'm coming from you at two directions. What's his name talks about this? Andrew Cobra Tate talks about this, but he doesn't know what he's doing. Where this is a method. Two is I I know that their knowledge in the subject is surface level at best, and which is why I won't set a trap for them, but they walk into their own trap by not fully seeing the next point, which is double orange pill. So double orange pill is blue pill is I have no idea why shit's fucked up. Red pill is oh, I see the world for kind of what it is, which is wrong, but I don't know how to fix it. Orange pill is Bitcoin fixes this, but like I don't understand Bitcoin and I've never fixed anything and I'm poor. That's orange pill. And then double orange pill is so orange pill, it's back to being blue pill, which is, yeah, tell me about your blue pill problems where I'll take you to red pill because your red pill moment is how money works by extracting $48 for a notebook. Your red pill is seeing how money works by extracting drink money. Your red pill is a lot. Like you're fully red pilled where you kind of see how the world works. And that's why you think it's funny. Number six component, which is funny, because you find it funny because every mind-blowing thing that I'm blowing a future person's mind with, you now see where you used to be and you see where you get to go kind of easily. And that's why it's funny on a couple different levels because you see them and you see yourself in them and you see where they're going to be a week from now, which is, oh, hey, I got to reach out to that guy. I totally remember talking to him, blah, 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 blah. And that's why it's funny, because it's also funny in that it's goal-oriented, but with no goal. It's money with no money. It's funny and fun where even if there's not some weird agenda, it was still a good time. And then the exchange of information is funny because you kind of see where it's going and you can't look away because you just want to like watch a little bit longer. And that's what's entertaining and funny and temporarily magical because you get the forecast and then the game is easier and then there's no pressure, so you can just listen because our South by homework's done already. Like it's literally done. Whereas everyone that we talked to about MySpaces, even the IP attorney, was like, wow, that's really interesting. The IP guy, and then we talked about Carl Opadol and all the attorneys that are above him in the pecking order. The guy, the guy when it comes to trademark, and so he's like a mythical being, like an Easter bunny. Like, who doesn't go for meetings? Who asks a client, do you want to do it the regular way or the fun way? Like that's an attorney who knows what they're doing and kind of doesn't care, but like is gonna get your job done, but kind of wants to be entertained and only wants to work with people that they like, right? Like you can see how he liked it because it's funny. We'll do whatever Sherry St. John wants to do. Because even if they would have said, hey, we're doing it our way, like they can't because then they got to buy the company and they didn't want to do that. Yeah. That's doing it all your way, is you got to pay for it, which is why that is funny. And so, like, the attorney, the IP attorney, the audit guy, which I don't think you got all of that conversation, the audit guy, because I explained what an external API was to him, and he just was like, oh, that stuff's too innovative, and it's kind of like Plaid. Were you there for that part of the conversation? Exactly. And Plaid is my guy's, Tony's, Tony runs APIs for that. And so what he said was exactly correct. And what I said was like, a year and a half or two in front of Plaid, which is why I'm trying to get Plaid to like install and steal my ideas for external API calls. And that was actually from last year's South by. South by is fucking magical. Right? No, it's just. No. South by's hard. South by's hard. Because last year South by was such a change. I'll know what it is when it's there, but prior to it, like, I don't know. You definitely don't rely on it. I don't know the answer to your question. I don't know. It's kind of like Super Bowl, where each South by and Super Bowl and Christmas are the same, but massively different. Whereas what we should be asking ourselves is how can we spend 4 hours before South by on something where we've won already? That's what we should do. 12. So, what was it, 4 to 9? Because people are going to call us a fraud for rabbits into MySpaces. So we're going to need to like kind of defend why it's so awesome. We're going to need to No, what? No, don't. Yeah, because why did you say that every conversation went to Bitcoin? Really? Okay, that's put that also on the bottom of your page 2. Bitcoin. The only thing that matters about Bitcoin is what you said, which is you guys just got to get to 6.15 of them. That's the only thing that matters. You just got to get from your current state to positive 6.15 Bitcoin. That's it. That's the only thing that matters. That's the only thing that matters. And studying it like won't help. In fact, you're fucking welcome. Say thank you. You're welcome. Aren't I fucking hilarious? You want to understand Bitcoin? Just, oh my god. No, 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 not that. Is Larry on Twitter, Larry Chiang, CHA19. Do you see how like this shit gets confusing in a hurry? Because it's not CH11, it's CHA19. And do you see how like people that are like wanting to call me a fraud just get so confused because they're like, you just said chapter 19. I'm like, no, I said cha 19. I'm incredibly specific, and I'm gonna say chapter 19, but I'm only on CH 1 through 14, whereas CHA 15, cha 15 is Joe Dispenza. And do you see how like it's confusing as fuck? Which is something I'm going to explain as soon as I get this prop. I don't need the prop. I do need the prop. worried that she's gonna like take a book of mine and then put that book somewhere else where I can't find that book. Like, what the F? I just had it right here. What the heck? Okay. Sean. Yeah, go. Go. I'll remember. Go. Okay. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. That's true. Okay. Nice. Chapter 19. Chapter 19 uh, is CHA19. So whenever anybody talks about Bitcoin, you just say one thing, Chapter 19. Because it's so complex that now you have a one-word answer. And fiat standard. So no, that's Safedin Amu's book. And I got him, he's famous, I got him to join his own book club by asking him, hey, do you want to join a book club? He's like, what book? I'm like, oh, it's a really, really good book. Chapters 16 through 18 are on the Bitcoin wave. Chapters 1 through 8 are the introduction to problems. And the best chapter of the book is fiat food. And he's like, wait a minute, I'm getting jealous. I'm like, you're jealous of your own book, motherfucker. And then people are like, oh, I can't believe it. Like, if you're doing an author signing, I'm going to memorize your chapters for your author signing by quoting you back your own chapters. So now, do you want to be in my book club? I guess I have to be, right? That's the right answer. Can you repeat that? Yes, I will be in a book club where we're reading our own book. And then everyone else is like, I want to be in the book club too. Chapter 19 is the chapter that he actually left off of the fiat standard. Safedin Amu. Yeah, fiat standard. That's Bitcoin in a nutshell, is chapter 19. And then when you said Michael Saylor video, thank you for saying that, because I went ahead and used my PQRST front running skills to take chapters 19 through 33 to GJ it into Saylor's book that he wrote, but he said that nobody read, which is The Mobile Wave. And so chapters 19 through 33 are actually written. It's called The Bitcoin Wave, where all the chapters mimic Saylor's 1 through 10 expanded into 1 through 14. Why did I expand them 1 through 14? So I could easily memorize chapters 19 through 33. They're 1 through 14 because I just memorized the 1 through 14, right? 1 through 14, what they don't teach at Harvard Business School, it's the same shit. The structure is exactly the same. So now I have the structure. So now memorizing 19 through 33 is just like memorizing 1 through 14. And that's Saylor's content thrown into karma. learn anything for $0 at Sailor Academy. 5, mentorship. Satoshi Nakamoto and the thoughts on the way that he cited mentors on page 9 of his white paper. He cited 8 different people. That's 5 plus 19. That's 23. And so you list out a number 19 through 33. I memorized it 1 through 14. And the flagship chapter is chapter 19. So you don't need to know the Bitcoin wave because chapter 1 is the Bitcoin wave. You're fucked if you know about Bitcoin. You're also kind of fucked if you don't know about Bitcoin. Where chapter 3 is you actually don't understand any of this shit. You just want to grab 6.15 Bitcoin. That's chapter 33. Good luck understanding it because nobody understands it. And that's chapter 19 is the fiat standard, which is also Web 4, which is your page 3, I think. Do you even code? And the reason it's page 3 is paste copy is my mentor's chapter 3, which is how I coined Web 4 when Mark Pincus told me what Web 2 was. Because I had no idea what Web 2 was. I'm like, Web 2? Did you just make that shit up? He's like, no, it's the social web. I'm like, the web isn't social already? It is, but it's a new thing. Mark Pincus, the guy who started a bunch of shit. Tribe and then Zynga. And then I'm like, oh, well, who coined that? Oh, maybe me, maybe Mr. O'Reilly. And then I'm like, okay, well, if you coined Web 2, I'm going to coin 3, 4, and 5. 3's going to suck because there's nothing better than 2, right? So 3's going to suck. 4 is going to be, I don't know. And then 5's going to be the last one. And then backfilling in what that structure is for 2, 3, 4, and 5. And just guessing that 3 was going to suck. Good guess, right? Solid. And then 4 is the genius one. Because I got lucky with 5, but 4 is the genius one. Because it turns out, in one sentence, Web 4 is older than Web 1. That's the genius. That's Fiat Strikes Back. That's Safedine Amu's book. That's your page 3. Do you see how you already understand more about Bitcoin than anybody else on the planet? And the only thing that you can do to take action on that is collect 6.15 Bitcoin, which is actually not that much money, and then squeeze people for drink money. Both. All of it. All of it. Both. All of it. You're fucking welcome, dude. Don't I say that a lot with conviction? Nobody understands shit all about this. What do you think when like Satoshi Nakamoto hears like Larry Chiang spooging off Web 4? Ha 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 ha. Like, you know I'm Satoshi Nakamoto's mentor, right? I don't know who it is. Oh, I know you don't know. I'm telling you, like, he knows who I am, and I wish I knew who he was. Because come on, Web 4, it's older than Web 1. is on like 100 levels, but the first level is it's actually older than Web 1. All that matters is just asking people for drink money. we should have a tally. No, we should have a tally. I talked over you just there. We should have a tally to try to get 5 free drinks. Oh, no. Not 5 free drinks because we're drinking water. We should have a tally to get 5 paid drinks where we're selling drinks back to them like we're a cocktail waitress. So, in fact, I can also do to you what you do to me, which is, I'm going to the bar. Anything you want, buddy. What do you want? No, that's perfect. Cause, oh, you know what? Let's have a competition. Let's have a competition where we're gonna see how many cocktail drinks we can sell on behalf of the bar. Because this is an external API to the bar. We can sell drinks at the bar by buying the drinks from the bar, by selling the drink first. Oh my god, this is genius. Because this makes the game within a game great. Do you not see that? You see that, right? How do you not see it? What do you not get? We're just selling drinks at the bar. That's all we're doing. Exactly, and then we extract money where we never pay. Right? So this takes your question of, oh, do you just not buy drinks for women? It takes that question to like the top of Mount Everest from the bottom of the ocean. Like this is like a 9,000 foot ascension based on that question. Which is, and the funny thing of lecture 6, which is, before we sell a notebook to you, we're going to sell you drinks with your credit card. Is your noodle baking over there? Breathe. Or just 2 simple ways. We're not finding all the ways. Do you see how you're putting more pressure? Do you see how you're putting more pressure on your brain? We're finding 2 extraction methods. 1, drinks. 2, notebook. We're not finding all the ways. We're just finding 2 ways that are $50. Oh yeah, for the notebook it's 50. Yeah. So we don't have to be in competition with each other, but I think it would kind of be good for me to sell notebooks and for you to sell notebooks. For you to sell drinks and for me to sell drinks. Or something. But just 2 things. Selling drinks and selling notebooks. Because the MySpaces thing just sells itself. We're selling 3 things. 1 thing that sells itself that's incredibly expensive, and then 2 things that are literally 0 revenue, but like kind of a lot of revenue. Because like these notebooks, when a person actually uses a notebook, they're just going to be like, yeah, keep the 50 because this is amazing. And we got to say twice, look, we made a deal. I insist that we give you the money back. Because that was the deal that we made. Because we said we're going to give you your money back, and now we're going to keep it. Like, I'm going to demand that you take your money back. Twice. You could, right? And do you see how now your whole tech sales like tech sales, I gotta work whatever you did. Like it's completely bogus what you said. Do you remember that? The one where you're like, oh well, if I'm gonna sell, it's gonna be like 68 hours a week, blah blah blah. Right. A week. A week. Yeah, 15 hours a week. Exactly. Like you can kind of see how when you get good at this, you shouldn't have to work that many hours because you're just listening for problems and at the point of extraction asking for money because then you become like a money collector, a money like a rainmaker. Selling drinks at a bar. I already wrote this up as a LinkedIn blog post. Are you in front of a computer? Yeah. Like it was like perfect because I was like, you kind of need to collect money, and the drinks thing was sort of a thing, and so it just percolated in my brain. It percolated in my brain to be incredibly specific. Like it's really good. Like it's really good. The notebook thing I've done before, that's good. But the drinks thing is like perfect. Like the drinks thing is really good. Use it to do what? Use it to do what? Finish it. Use it to do what? Use it to do what? What is your what is your like your question makes no sense. Why do I why am I doing MySpace? Why don't I use Duck 9 instead of MySpace? I don't by doing Duck 9, you're doing you're doing a thing that's counter because nobody's ever like let's make the rich dude super richer. Like nobody in the world nobody says that. Uh, that's one. Two, like I don't see a music component to it. And then I've got 30 more, which are basically this is Duck 9. Because I open sourced this shit like junior year in college. Remember when the guy was like, "Hey, how long have you worked at your company?" And I'm like, sophomore year." Old people think, "Oh my god, that was like, years ago." Young people are like, "So what? Like, is it like what, 5 years old?" Whereas that guy who's old, he's like, "Holy fuck!" Since sophomore year, I open source all this shit by like senior year because I felt guilty. I literally open sourced all this shit because I felt guilty. Because I'm like, making this money is like way too easy. and I'm going to just let people have it. So what Duck9 is, and your question's actually a great question, which is, why don't I use Duck9? Bro, you're using Duck9 right now because we're helping MySpace Duck9. Because MySpace is a zombie. So you're mixing up early Duck9 with late Duck9. Because what Duck9 now is Web 5 and Web 4. And I want you to keep all the money that you make. Because that's what it means to open source Duck9. 2 protocols. P.O. Box 105281. Write this down because you had a question. This is the answer. And this is a great answer. P.O. Box 105281. That's the external API into the front run of FICO. And do you see how, like, when you're on the other side of my algorithm, like, I can do whatever I want to because you're defending me. I can move you with a jab step. I can pump fake you. I can travel with the ball because I'm the one who's writing the rules, because I'm the only one who read the rules according to Yale law, Harvard law, Stanford law. Like, I'm the reader of these rules. And it turns out you can travel with the basketball. How? You put it in a locker and you bring your balls with you to the next thing. I literally travel with the ball. And then Denver has a weird kind of pressure, okay? So I depressurize the cigars and money with Denver's PV equals NRT. Boyle's law for why and gravity pulls less hard. And so P.O. Box 105281, I'm front running Fair Isaac. And if it sounds like an address, it is. Because that's the only API call that works. All the other API calls are broken. Were you there for that part of the conversation? Because the trademark attorney was like, well, what is exactly Duck9? And then I was like, P.O. Box 105281, because the other protocols into Fair Isaac are broken. Because they want you, Experience TransUnion and Equifax, they want you to fail getting your own credit data. Were you there for that part? Yeah. And so this is why an external API works, is because this is why it works. Because the only protocol that works is which protocol? Hashtag P.O. Box 105281. It's a hashtag. That is the protocol. The box is the protocol, is the P.O. Box. Yeah. And so when you break that protocol, you're going to do well or do poorly if you don't listen to the protocol. You're gonna fail. You're gonna fail. You're gonna fail. And so the only protocol that works still in the year 2024 is hashtag P.O. Box 105281. And this round trips back to, this is the open source, because the other protocol is P.O. Box 16589. And people have used this protocol to make $1 billion. I open sourced it. And this is also why I parked a $31 million line of credit. So your question, I wasn't being short with you. I was just trying to get you the information after clarifying your question, which your question was, why don't we do Duck9 versus MySpaces? Because Duck9 is Web 5 and Web 4. Because P.O. Box 16589, you're going to get your brain like swollen because that's Victoria's Secret's P.O. Box. Which makes me Sherry St. John's best friend. P.O. Box 16589 is Victoria's Secret. And do you know why Victoria's Secret matters? Do you think I did a partnership? Hell yeah, I am the show. The reason Victoria's Secret is significant on like 9 levels. Level 1, that P.O. box you can shove a payment into. Number 2, Victoria's Secret, they would give you a line of credit even if you had no credit, because when they lend you $600, how much do they lend you? $30, because each bra costs $3 a dozen, whereas they sell it for $20. And so when they're lending you $600, they're really lending you less than $50. And so how easy is it to borrow $600 from them when you give them $80 as a down payment? Do you see how like they've already made $30? So now $520, like they're just like, yeah, this is all bonus money. And then they report to TransUnion, Experian, and Equifax. This is Kenneth Lynn's business, Credit Karma, Billion, Unicorn, and ditto Mint, Aaron Patzer's Money Intelligence. So I'm running an external API into Victoria's Secret, and then when they canceled their woke show, I'm like, I'll just do a decentralized Victoria's Secret show. And so this is also New York Fashion Week, that is also open source, that is an external API into the fashion industry. And so the original question of, well, what about doing Duck9 or MySpace? Like, this is Duck9, is doing a turnaround. This is Duck9, which is practicing on a cadaver. This is Duck9, which is you don't have enough Bitcoin. This is Duck9, which is you don't need money to make money. This is Duck9 because venture capital is something that I hacked. This is Duck9 because I parked a $31 million credit line at hashtag 530lit. So that's another protocol. So that protocol is actually what Alex was wowed by, because Alex works at American Express, and American Express has an address of 200 Vesey Street, which I thought was 100 Vesey Street. And American Express had to route everything through 1825 East Buckeye Road, which is another protocol. And I told Amex, I'm like, you guys should just API into Bank of America yourself. And they're like, yeah, we can't do that. I'm like, okay, pay me. But anytime you want to quit, you let me know. Because they needed magically humans that are born 19 to 23 years old. They needed that human to magically have a FICO of 800 or 750. In fact, if you look up 748.6 as a FICO score, it's hilarious. 748.6. because it's just a tad below 750, and it's at that exact point that there's a special occurrence. 748.6. And so American Express, they needed to have you have a Bank of America credit card, but they couldn't sell you one. So the only way to buy an American Express card or sign up for one is if you first did, if you're under 24, is if you first did a Bank of America card. And then that situation, you're kind of in danger, because if you apply for credit and then don't get it, you're actually fucked. And so I ran an API that would solve that problem. And then in and around this time, when the credit line was thousands of dollars, like, banks were giving, game theory, banks were giving students like $9,000 credit lines, because if you had a $9,000 credit line, you couldn't get credit anywhere else. You had to just stay with that one bank. But then people would fall into credit card debt, so then that's when I called up my buddy, Mr. President, to pass a law called HR 627. Do you remember when Katie was talking about being a lobbyist? So do you know why I didn't just jump in and say, oh, I passed HR 627, I passed HR 5719, I passed HR 3606? The reason I didn't was she would be like, I gotta go home right now and masturbate. Which is why I didn't. Because I wanted her to wait to get home and then flog her dolphin later. And say entertaining shit like, I have a tape measure. That was hilarious. That was hilarious, right? That's the only real thing that she said. Well, that and the frontal cortex thing. Is this not like mind-blowing how like I use Duck 9? Because if I get you to do Duck 9, to finish your question, if I get people to do Duck 9, people are like, well, I kind of just helped you get richer. And then I kind of don't understand how it's open source. Whereas if I'm like MySpace, you're like, yeah, like it's so easy. It's you log in, you do some MySpace shit, and then you use a rabbit. Like, it's 2 steps. Whereas if I say Duck 9, now it's like a million questions, none of which help anybody, right? But then I do have answers, and the answers are even more scary, because does this help or hurt you get to 6.15? A little bit, right? Whereas the real question should be, are you even Satoshi Nakamoto? Which is, no, I'm not. I'm actually jealous of him because I'm the guy who should have came up with this. But that's okay, because that way I can eat food and still go out in public. Unlike Satoshi, who's probably like scared of everything. Yeah, when Katie was talking about being a lobbyist, I totally had to bite my tongue. Do you know how much money she makes? Yeah, somewhere in that neighborhood. Because there's no way that a new law firm that's like a bigger law firm would just say, yeah, come over and be partner. Do you hear Alex's question? Oh, you're a partner? Is the firm smaller? And Katie was like, it's actually bigger. And as soon as she hesitated on that with biting her tongue, I was like, she's a whale. And that's why I heard the money. Because her friend's question that was kind of a dig. It wasn't a dig, it was just a normal question. Yep, where you should just assume that your friend is a goat. Yep, and then that's why women are their own worst enemy. The worst! And as soon as I was saying that, they're like, play with my vagina? No, thank you. That was the way that we managed that was legendary. Because most dudes would have been like shooting a load in the wrong spot. Right? Whereas we were like, yeah, let's break up this magical rock pile and like make this party great. Because those people were so happy that we left and networked. They were! Right? Nobody wanted to come over and be like, hey, we want to interrupt this like weird rock pile of Tourette's, pop-up Tourette's sex language. Because they were screaming those words towards the direction, earshot of, there's no way people couldn't hear that. There's no way. Pussy! Oh, play with my dick. I want to play with dick. Like, there's no way people didn't hear that. Right? Like, there's no way. There's absolutely no way.